This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 193. This week, Brad and I are excited because we're finally getting around to watching a show that we thought we watched before. It's Cartoon Network's Teen Titans Go.
And these nuts, they're so good.
Well, that's because I'm a nut mixologist. Almonds, peanuts.
Cashews.
That's right, Ray. All the good stuff.
That's how you do nuts, yo. Where did the mixed varietals of nuts and legumes go?
Squirrel, return our nuts or face the consequences. How dare you? This indignity will not stand. Titans, go!
Fire on!
The day just keeps getting better.
I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready,
And where is that kid?
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show, this podcast. Thank you for joining us once again this week. I'm not the only voice you're going to hear. That's why I keep saying us. It's not just me, Jake Williams. It's my good buddy, Brad Chmielewski, too. What's up, man?
What's up? Well, if they're watching the video, they can see me too.
Yeah,
So
unless
they
I...
know I'm here.
Hey, man, what if I put up like a slide, I hit it, and then I revealed when
Would
it's
you,
time.
Would you reach in and pull it off? Whoop.
Yeah, so I have to get a real life hook or cane or something, and then time it at the exact time. You can't see my video, but I'm timing it to pull your curtain open, and then I got to make a curtain animation.
There you go. Who's it gonna be?
Yeah,
It's always Brad.
it's always Brad. You know what though? Even better, you should get a curtain in your studio. So
And then I'll do it.
yeah, we can time it. Yeah, exactly. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going pretty good here.
Yeah, this week we decided to do an episode of the show Teen Titans Go, which I got to be honest, I thought we watched it already, but we kind of did, but we didn't.
We watched Teen Titans,
Which
not Go.
Which I think if you listen back to that episode, I'm pretty sure you brought up that you thought that we were going to watch Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, I didn't know there was two. I thought this Teen Titans Go was the only version because it is better.
You're already guys, forget the next half hour. You don't need to listen to any of this. Brad's already said his opinion. It's better than Teen Titans.
But you can't have this show without Teen Titans, right? So
That's true. And actually, I'm not even sure. See, we're going to get into that whole thing again with, we do know that certain shows have pretty big fandoms. And Teen Titan and DC comic stuff in general is up that avenue where people there's good fandoms for those. So
yeah.
I'm going to sound like a complete novice when I say, I don't know if Teen Titans was a comic first or if it was just made to be a cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know all the Teen Titans history.
So we're gonna tiptoe around a lot of this stuff, but I think that talking about Teen Titans Go is a little bit easier, especially for us who might not be as invested in the show or the series or anything it's based on, because Teen Titans Go honestly seems like it's its own thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Right. It seems like they made a show just for fun with a new style, to kind of bring it up to the new millennium or the new era or whatever of cartoons that are actually on the air. And so let's talk a little bit about the background of Teen Titans Go. What can we expect when we're talking about this show? It's an American animated series based on the DC Comics superhero team Teen Titans, so I guess that would imply comics, maybe? Who knows? We know at least Robin's been around for a long time. He just joined a different group, right?
Mm-hmm.
The series was announced following the popularity of DC Nation's new Teen Titans shorts. So they were originally sort of shorts to... I kind of liken it to, remember the Turtle short we watched that had that really cool new style, but then there was never any more of it?
Oh, right, that Nickelodeon. It was on Nickelodeon's, I think, website.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure they ever made any more, but I think it's kind of like that. They decided to make a different style, see how it did in a Teen Titans universe. And to me, those things always scream either, and they're both good things. One is like trying to expand a series, trying to get more out of it, the same characters, but also could be more of a passion project for the artists involved, for the animators involved, trying to say, like, I love these characters. I've also wanted to try this style. What do you guys think if we pitched this little story kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe.
The show was developed by Michael Jelenic and Aaron Horvath, and it was based on Teen Titans, of course, the original series by Glenn Murakami. This series so far, Teen Titans Go, 4 seasons, 173 episodes. That's crazy.
Damn, that's a lot of episodes.
Especially for, I feel like, a newish show. Only a handful these days seem to get 4-season, 5, 6-season runs. And currently the show's still going, so who knows?
Well, we'll get into, but this show is made for internet memes, internet videos. Everything screams sheer ability on this show.
Right, the quickness of it, the like, even still frames from it are great.
Yeah, not so much from this episode we watched, but other ones that I watched were
meant to be shared. Like the whole concept of the episode, you could tell was like, I want people to share this.
Yeah, well. I'll talk about it towards the end or if it comes up, but yeah.
Cool. Some of the production stuff on Teen Titans Go. So it's a new animation style. It kind of serves as the comedic reboot to the Teen Titans series, although it's not necessary to have any continuity with the previous series before it. And I think you guys will see in our discussion why that is, why it doesn't necessarily have to follow in what Teen Titans actually did. It takes its own kind of flavor, I guess you could say, as it tells its stories.
They each have their powers. Still,
True.
with regular Teen Titans.
I guess, like, I would say the story arcs don't necessarily have to matter, but the character traits, of course, they're still around. Like, they're still going to be, I guess, the same characters. The series kind of gives a sneak peek at what the Titans do when they're just hanging around the tower, when they're not saving the day. I love this idea because I think this is something you and I joke a lot about, which is, you know, there'll be a superhero cartoon or somebody saving the day, and then they randomly call this guy, and we're like, well, what was that guy doing for the last 15 minutes?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so it's a kind of peek behind the curtain maybe of what the Teen Titans do at home. In July 28th, 2016, it was renewed for a 4th season. That season premiered just this past October 20th. So that has wrapped up, and it seems like episodes are still airing, I guess, at this point. And the cool thing is the original Teen Titans voice cast reprised their roles for Teen Titans Go to come back and actually
pretty awesome.
Keep that together. And I guess you could describe the story of Teen Titans Go, if you want to call it that. It doesn't really feel like there's any arc at all. The series follows the adventures of the young Titans who reside in Jump City when they're not saving the world while living together as teenagers without adults who intrude. Unlike most of the other superhero series, the situations are almost always comic, crazy, or just kind of rival and parody. Right?
Yeah.
And so our main characters are back. If you listen to our Teen Titans episode or you're familiar with the Teen Titans but didn't give Teen Titans Go a try, I feel like there's some kind of tongue twister going on. I keep saying Teen Titans. I don't know. We have Robin, who is the perfectionist kind of leader of the group. Robin of Batman and Robin fame, same guy. Raven, who is the sarcastic, deadpan demon girl who'd rather be left alone. I guess emo, if you want to say, but more just like wants to do her own thing.
Not so much in this show, though.
Yeah. I also love that. So these descriptions I grabbed from the Cartoon Network website, which were like these tiny little cards, right? That showed like, hey, if you're this kind of personality type, you would get this guy or whatever, which is why I love Cyborg's, another character, who describes him as a laid-back, half-teen, half-robot, more interested in pizza and video games than fighting crime. And I think that's why he's my favorite.
But, yeah, these descriptions they're tough, though, because they all don't care about fighting crime at all in this show.
Yep.
And this, so...
Right. It's not reserved only for Cyborg.
Yeah.
Then we have Starfire, who's an alien, a girl who's struggling kind of to fit in and learn the ways of Earth. But of course, she has her brothers and sisters here of the Teen Titans group. And Beast Boy is the slightly dim but lovable loafer. I guess you could call them all loafers in this series. And he can kind of transform into all sorts of animals. And as you said, Brad, they preserve all of their powers from the original Teen Titans series.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we should just jump into our episode this week. if you guys want to follow along, if you're listening pretty close to the release of the show, which is about March 21st, 2017, Cartoon Network's still going to have these on the website. They tend to keep it looks like close to a season. I think we lucked out because this one is actually from season 3. So even though season 4 is already airing or aired, we were able to go back and find this one. But otherwise, I can't find Teen Titans Go anywhere. I assume you can probably buy each episode on like iTunes or something. I probably should dig that up.
Maybe, okay.
So season 3, episode 20, the episode is entitled Squash and Stretch. I grabbed this because, well, we're animators, right? Squash and stretch, a famous animation term for kind of how the motion of something should look to give it that sort of cartoony look. And why I picked this is because I love seeing other artists, other animators in a production that goes, out to the world, tackle the ideas of animation in an animation. Like it's kind of one of those weird hat on a hat things. I don't know.
Okay.
So I knew that it was going to be a little bit about animation, so I decided to pick that episode. So season 3, episode 20, Squash and Stretch. We begin with the group. We're out by the pool. It is a bright, beautiful day. In fact, this stuff reminded me, this like green grass, like blue sky aesthetic reminded me of the feel-good start of old Powerpuff Girls episodes. Right before the villain, of course, started terrorizing everything. So the group is outside. They're all hanging around the pool, enjoying the sunny day. And what better way to enjoy the sunny day than to have a bowl of mixed nuts? And this might be a little bit where you're talking about some of the shareability stuff, Brad. They take time to go into and build title cards out for each of the nuts that's featured in this bowl of nuts.
Right, yeah.
So you get these really cool stills of cashews and peanuts and pecans or whatever. And the nuts themselves are also characters in this. And they're just passing around this bowl of nuts. Little did I know when I first watched this episode, and I probably watched it 3 times now because it's just nice to have on. This bowl of nuts is going to be our driving force this episode. This is what causes all the commotion. Spoilers. When they pass, I think it's Starfire might be the last one that they pass the bowl of nuts to. She goes to reach in, and of course, the bowl of nuts is gone. We, the audience, have seen that an entrepreneurial little squirrel has come by and grabbed it. Because what else would this squirrel do? I also love the character design of the squirrel because he looks cute and cuddly and lovable, but what he's doing is not very nice. He shouldn't be doing this. And immediately it becomes their priority more than anything else. And this is why I was confused with the episode. They want to get back these nuts. I thought there was going to be some sort of crime fighting. I didn't look at any of this background before. So I was like, what? Shouldn't you be doing something else besides worrying about this squirrel?
Yeah, no.
So they spring into action in the beginning here, right? They use the powers that they actually have to try to capture the squirrel. To some really great shots. You have Robin throwing little like stars or whatever his like Robin symbol kind of shooting star thing at them. You have Cyborg and his arm like extends and reaches all over these tree branches and wraps around himself. Can't get him. And of course the other members of the group as well like try to track down the squirrel and get these nuts as quickly as possible. But they ultimately fail and have to like cry and go home basically. Like they can't get these nuts.
Right.
So I was already confused when this started because I didn't realize the episode was just going to be about this.
Oh, you thought there was more to it?
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like some crime fighting or something. I wasn't really sure.
Oh, okay.
So the
See,
group,
I watched some other episodes, so I knew. Yeah, I knew what I was in for.
you knew how not serious to take it.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So they've got to regroup. The entire team goes back to the tower, and they decide like they're all spying on this squirrel across the park, saying like, how are we gonna get this squirrel? Like, I can't have this anymore. And they all basically want to be violent. Is their answer? And I actually thought this was really interesting for a kids show. I know that Cartoon Network can be a little bit more edgy when it comes to this kind of material. And I guess it's based on comics that typically have a lot of violence in them. But like that the kids' first answer was like, we should be violent to that squirrel. We need those nuts.
He's still giving us the business.
Let's hear some revenge fantasies!
Let's throw him in a cauldron and boil him alive! I was just separating his molecules with the ray of disintegration!
I just want to stuff the old shablamo down his throat and shablow up his whole face!
Bite him all over!
Yes! Yes!
Let's do it! Let's destroy that furry piece of trash!
Alas, Beast Boy, we live in a world that frowns upon violence.
Now it wasn't. It wasn't. What was the show we watched? Mighty Mouse levels of violence, like wolves with guns, cannons, and stuff. So they decide, hey, let's get it back that way. However, it's Cyborg who's kind of the voice of reason in this scene that mentions violence. It isn't maybe always the answer. Let me show you why. And they all sit down to watch a cartoon that's very much in line with old Roadrunner or Looney Tunes cartoons. Very slapstick comedy, and they're all watching it, and they're all laughing, realizing like, oh, violence is funny when it's on TV. This scene's great, though, because they use Robin as a test case in real life to see if violence truly is funny. And they each take turns punching him in the face, whether it's repeatedly, whether it's harder, whether it's they make a sound effect along with it. Like, Robin's just getting beaten up. And actually, if you saw our thumbnail on our YouTube video, that's the thumbnail for this week. Even at one point, Cyborg mentions, oh, it's because violence isn't funny in real life because there's no, sound effects and stuff. And his head doesn't spin around 3 times or something. So it's an interesting little moral, packed into the dialogue of these characters to let you know that, hey, you shouldn't go be violent and do this kind of stuff. But it was interesting to just see them kind of break down where violence lies and why it should be allowed here but not here, kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And what was their solution here, Brad? What were they going to do to find a way to actually merge these two worlds?
So they were going to change. They decided we have to become cartoons, even though we're already cartoons.
Right.
So they become basically I guess 1950s cartoon versions of themselves.
Mm-hmm. This was great. I love seeing that the artists took the time to that they got the chance to either pay homage to those old types of cartoons and do that kind of slapsticky stuff. In a cartoon, we should mention, that's already pretty exaggerated and slapsticky and stuff like that. But they really, I would say, in this scene, in this moment where they all turn into these old cartoons, they really rounded the edges of the show and made everything bouncy and fun.
If we become silly cartoons, won't we lose our depth?
It's either that or the squirrel wins.
Never!
I never thought I'd admit this, Cyborg, but the Teen Titans are way better at silly cartoons!
Who would have thought we could translate so seamlessly into broad comedy?
It feels good not to be weighed down by character development, yo!
I believe this is the definitive incarnation of the Teen Titans!
I think there's even call-outs, without explicitly saying it, you can kind of peg certain characters for taking on traits of other characters. I think Cyborg has a very Popeye vibe about him.
Right, a little bit, yeah. I think that was the idea. They wanted you to kind of get the feel of who they were.
One of them was kind of like Felix the Cat a little bit, but I can't remember if it was Beast Boy or Robin. Anyway, they all kind of took on these things. And they take action back to the squirrel. They're going to go basically beat it up, but now they're bouncy cartoons. So they, of course, try with all their newfounded, there are actually, I think, a lot of, wacky things from old cartoons in this, too, that you would expect. It felt like a mini new episode of Looney Tunes or something.
Yeah, a little bit.
But, of course, they fail. Again, this isn't going to work, this kind of cartoon, right? Even though they thought violence is the answer, let's be cartoons and be violent, it'll be okay. The dots didn't connect here.
No, because they realized that the coyote never gets the Roadrunner, even though...
I forgot about that. That was his answer. Wait a second, I've never seen them actually succeed.
Right. It doesn't work that way. That's not how this works. So
yeah,
we have to try something different.
What was their answer this time, Brad? This was probably one of my favorite parts of the episode.
Right. So they decide we have to we have to become anime. Like anime heroes always win. So
Yes.
we're good there. We'll just do that.
Yeah, and they all become these more realistic, almost, I don't want to say live action, but like realistic toned and bodied characters of themselves. And they do the thing that they did so well in this old episode of South Park with the Chimpokomon, where they're not mocking anime, but they're pretending to be anime and be funny, so the mouth just has like two shapes and moves, and characters always end lines with haha, or stuff like that. It turns into this action cartoon that's very anime inspired.
Booyah! Transformation complete. Now we can defeat the evil Mega Squirrel and retrieve the lost nuts of Snackonia. Titans, battle stations.
Mega Squirrel located.
Fire, quad lasers.
They form together much like a Power Rangers would, but they make all their ships into one giant sword that then just slashes down this tree instead.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't even think at the end of all this they even get the squirrel.
They do. They basically
Oh, yes.
think they have killed the squirrel, but the squirrel was just like, playing. But they realize like, oh my gosh, violence is not the answer.
Yeah, like
We're so sorry.
They felt really bad for what they did. And actually, I thought they killed the squirrel as well, because they pick him up in this anime form. And you're right, Brad. They mentioned like violence isn't the answer anywhere. Doesn't matter the style of it. And also they're crying. I think at one point he's like, these tears burn my face. Ow, haha. Until the squirrel turns out to be almost like a little like doll, and his head rotates off, and there's a stick of dynamite in there, and we're back to the slapsticky version of the cartoon. It blows up in their face, and the squirrel dances around. I believe he even mentions "Ain't I a stinker," a la Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
And
wah, wah, wah.
bounces all over the place, and that's the episode Squash and Stretch of Teen Titans Go. A fun episode with some really cool styles. I'm actually pretty pleased with this, because I think we chose an episode of Beavis and Butthead when we covered that show a while back, and it was about animation and them kind of learning the process of animation in an animated setting, and it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be. But this to me was great. But Brad, I want to get your opinion on this episode, and then maybe what you've thought of the series, because you've caught a little bit more of it.
Yeah, so this episode, it was all right. It's kind of neat that they went through these different styles to fight fight what they wanted, or to save their squirrel or get their nuts. But
yeah,
I felt like this episode did not do what all the other episodes do. So all the other episodes have a song. They all have like a little catchy sing-along thing. I know when we first saw this show, we saw the potty dance song.
Yep.
Every other episode that I watched has a little mini song. There's one about shrimp and prime rib. There's a song about that where he's just like throwing shrimps in the air. So that was kind of disappointing that this episode didn't have that, and I really missed it. So I felt like this episode was kind of a little different than the normal ones.
And being that these are only 10 to 11 minute episodes, would you say these songs are like under 2 minutes in length? Like they feel like they're meant to be shared?
They're like 10 seconds. They're like Vine kind of style.
Gotcha.
Like put this on the internet and just share it because it's hilarious. So that
yeah.
was really missing here. They also, because they changed styles a lot, we missed a lot of the scenes where in the other episodes they go to super close-ups of the character's face. There might have been one in this episode where it's just the face and their skin color on the background, and they say like one or two lines.
Oh, interesting.
And that is really neat to, one, just really get into like that character, and it probably saves on animation just a little bit, but it's a really funny way. So that wasn't in this episode because they changed these styles.
Right.
So
Yeah, that was the interesting part. As I was watching it, as an animator, I really appreciated the lengths that they went to kind of stretch themselves and do these two different styles for this show. But I was watching it thinking like, man, there's no like one frame or one sequence that I would grab to share this because, 66% of the episode, they're not themselves.
Right.
In the cartoon, there's something totally different. And I'm sure this happens otherwise, right? I'm sure in other episodes, but it sounds like the majority of what you've watched, there's kind of a formula that keeps coming back that kind of works for them.
A little bit, yeah. The other one I watched, the shrimp and prime ribs, I watched one where Santa was trying to steal all of Halloween because he realized Halloween is the only other holiday anyone cares about. If he gets rid of Halloween, he will have a monopoly on all the holidays.
Because the other ones are lesser holidays in his mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. It sounds like commercial Santa is looking to steal it because more people care about the other ones. Come on, Santa, don't be so no. But that's great. It's funny to see that there are these situations in this show that aren't necessarily reserved for crime fighting. This seems like the great show to just pick up an episode once in a while because you don't necessarily need to know what happened between, seasons or something.
Right, yeah.
But I know that, for instance, when we talked about Teen Titans, man, that show, every single season followed a story arc for a character. So it was like you kind of needed to know what happened to move forward with it. So I don't know. I think we've been pretty positive about this. So, guys, we like this show a lot. This is pretty great. I'm surprised we haven't covered it up until now because, man, anytime you go to the Cartoon Network website, I know that them and Nickelodeon kind of have a few shows that seem to always be around as well as their new stuff. Teen Titans Go seems to be occupying one of Cartoon Network's tent poles. It's definitely one of the shows that's like a pillar of them trying to have this sort of programming.
Yeah.
And then they have the whole Adult Swim thing, which is a totally other world.
It's a different world, yeah. Altogether.
Well, cool. I'm glad we got a chance to finally check this series out, and you've convinced me I need to know whatever this prime rib song is, so I think I need to actually go
you should
watch
look
that
at
episode.
that right now. Shrimp and prime rib.
And it's actually not, like, these episodes fly by. Gosh, I'm already forgetting what we watched just last week, but there was something we watched a couple weeks ago that was like, oh my goodness. We watched Zelda. That's why.
Yeah, that was
we're like, this is so
that was
long.
incredibly slow. Yeah.
So I'm afraid, man, maybe because our attention spans these days are so short. Am I always going to prefer 10-minute episodes now? Am I not going to care if the cartoon's 20 minutes long?
I don't know. It's nice because you definitely will watch more of them because they're short. You're like, oh yeah, I'll watch a couple of these. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so we have a better idea of the show once we do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go on a binge after this. Although, honestly, recently on my list, I know we got episode 200 coming up and we talked about the show we're going to do. But everyone's talking about that new Samurai Jack, man. I feel like I should really go back and give it an effort.
Yeah, you got to watch the other Samurai Jack first. Finish it.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. I have to watch all of whatever the 4 seasons they had or something and then come back. Like,
okay. All right.
I got a lot of work ahead of me, guys. I don't know. But let's get out of here. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog, digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great. Guys, go check that out. Follow him up there. He also is still posting the stills over on his blog every single week, talking about the shows we're watching. I know we have a little bit of a new format on our website, but check those out because I get to see them in the folder every week, and they're still awesome. So, and you guys can follow me on Twitter if you'd like, @JacobWilliams. Of course, the show, if you want more Toon Talk Weekly, we're all over social media, @Toon Talk Weekly on Twitter, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're also Toon Talk Weekly over at Google Plus as well. ToonTalkWeekly@gmail.com. That's the email if you guys want to let us know favorite episodes of Teen Titans Go. What did we miss? What should we talk more about next week? Depending on, I'd love to do a postmortem on even more episodes if we had time and we could fit it into a show. So if there's more we need to know about Teen Titans Go, guys, please let us know what we missed. And of course, our website, ToonTalkWeekly.com, the main hub for the show. If you guys want to get at us, you can check out all of the episodes there alphabetically on the homepage. Had a couple friends like that was actually super helpful that I could show them, hey, I do this radio show and
Like, here's all the episodes.
Here's all the episodes. I couldn't tell you when we did them, but I could tell you that they're alphabetical, so it's easy to find. Cool. So this was fun. I'm glad we finally did this show. Next week, we're going to do a cartoon. I believe it's from the early 2000s. Might be 2004 or 5. It's called Atomic Betty.
Whoa, okay.
And I never saw this show, but I believe it's about a young girl who might be in like middle school, high school range, but also saves the universe. So she has to deal with regular stuff like a soccer game, but also fight her nemesis, who is a cat from outer space.
So like My Life as a Teenage Robot kind of idea?
It's yeah, kind of like that, but she's a human. Maybe she was like bestowed upon her this power. So
okay.
So yeah, we'll watch an episode of Atomic Betty next week. That's going to do it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter at Toon Talk Weekly.